2NURFM, a broadcast service of the University of Newcastle.
And it's great to have back in the studio for 2017 Professor John O'Connor, School of Mathematics and Physical Sciences at the University of Newcastle. Good morning. This must be very, very disappointing for you, why people reject science. And I suppose there's more to it than that. You've got the flat earthers from many, many years ago, and the minute a new discovery comes out, there's always the people who don't agree with it. Is it a simple concept?
Well, it's interesting because what we've seen in the last few months, especially with the US campaign, is the fake news, and people would very readily take up things that there's no justification for. I mean, it just was on the internet, and so there's been a lot of finger pointing as to why this is. Is it because people are no longer have the understanding of science, or are they not educated? Is it the uneducated masses that are falling for this,
or just distrust?
And distrust, yes, and also the perspective that possibly the news is being hidden from us, or information is being hidden from us.
Conspiracy theories.
And this has been investigated by a group of psychologists. And in fact, this has been reported at a recent conference in America. And I think this is one of the things we've got to be careful of too with news and talking about things. Too much comes out of unverified sources. Now, a conference is a good place, but it's not been peer-reviewed. We should be very careful when we pick up our sources to make sure that it's been through some sort of assessment process. And this is where people get mixed messages, especially things like diet. A week doesn't go by where people's information.
Well, it changes, doesn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
But now the findings of this group was that not that the people were uneducated or that they weren't interested in science, it's just they cherry-picked their facts. Now, what human would do that? Cherry-pick the facts that suited their own opinion. And it seems that this is the thing that where people see something. Could be fake news. I mean, they don't know, but they'll see something that registers with them. Gels. Oh yes, that fits in with just what I thought was happening, and so it's more about people attaching their own recognition to stories that fit in with what they want to believe, rather than what might be an uncomfortable theory.
So are we talking evolution here? Is that probably the biggest one right at the top of the list that people doubt scientists and science?
Well, I think actually climate change is probably the bigger one, because there's so much political and economic issues tied up with that. That it can change our society so much if we accept. It will have to change our society so much if we accept climate change. But evolution, vaccination, and these are all three of these issues where people sometimes want to believe a certain thing, and will cherry pick the information that supports their view. So,
as a scientist and the scientific community, that's the problem. What is the solution?
It's an incredible science communication issue, because it's now linked more to people's political views or their economic views, and so the researchers have claimed that the way around this is to change the approach. So link in with what people believe or want to believe, and work from their beliefs to a destination, rather than work from the destination back to their beliefs.
Okay.
Otherwise change them. So it's more. It's a tougher call now, because you've got to understand your audience much better, and you've got to be able to work from their perceptions and their needs towards the scientific facts as they're registered and as they're acknowledged by the majority of the community.
Is this like a global, if Dad says no, go and ask Mum? Is that what we're talking about here to a certain extent?
I think that's what's been happening. If Dad says no, I think that's what people have been doing. It's a matter of trying to stop that.
Okay.
Getting Dad to say, well, let's sit down and talk about this.
Okay.
And then actually work their way around to a conclusion, rather than, this is the way it is.
I think there's an Australian term, don't get it arse about.
That's right.
Is that basically... There we go. We've
right.
wrapped up this morning why people are not trusting and rejecting science, because we get it arse about. We could have taken care of that very quickly.
Yes, but we wouldn't have done it at a conference. We'd probably get thrown out using that sort of terminology.
Oh, dear. But a question before you go. Is the Earth flat?
I think there's so many... Actually, the Greeks knew it wasn't flat. It's so obvious that it's not flat in so many ways. They knew it wasn't flat because they could actually see the shadow of the moon on the Earth, the Earth on the moon, in an eclipse, and people could actually work out the radius of the Earth, 2,000 years ago. The idea that the Earth is flat is a minority view right through history.
Can you believe there are still people who believe it?
No, I can't.
I have that same problem as well.
So much, but then, there are people who believe that we didn't walk on the moon, even though they're now taking photographs of the
buggy that's parked up
the buggy
there.
there,
Okay.
all that stuff. Yes.
Professor John O'Connor, great to have you back for 2017. I look forward to more in-depth conversations throughout the year. Thanks, Todd. 2RFM.